500 years after the birth of John Knox, the founding father of the Scottish Reformation, the enigmatic details of his early years are still unexplained. What is known is that he entered life in this picturesque part of Haddington, East Lothian in Scotland, and the course of his life from there on was to be shaped by a number of characters and events. Indeed, one of the defining moments took place just yards from the house where he was born. "1513 marked not only Knox's birth, but also Scotland's heavy defeat by England at the Battle of Flodden, a conflict which claimed 10,000 lives, including that of the second Earl of Bothwell. From Hales Castle, the powerful Hepburn family controlled the property in East Lothian, including nearby St Mary's Abbey. One of the Earl's sisters, Elizabeth Hepburn, would become prioress of this wealthy convent in 1522. A few miles away, Garton Castle was home to Sir David Lindsay, famed as the author of In Satire of the Three Estates. Dismissed from his post of tutor to the young King James V, he came here in 1526. His satire, a ferocious attack on the Roman Catholic Church, was performed at Linlithgow Palace in 1540. Along the coast, the formidable stronghold of the Douglas family, Tantallon Castle, dominates the cliffs above North Berwick. Here, in 1512, the 6th Earl of Angus married Margaret Hepburn, sister of Elizabeth. Tragedy was to befall the family, however. The Earl's sister Janet was burnt as a witch at Edinburgh Castle, and his bride died suddenly. Which ghost stalks these walls? In 1528, Knox left Haddington to study divinity at St Leonard's College in St Andrews, where he would learn of the new reformist ideas. But the shock of Scotland's first Protestant martyr, Patrick Hamilton, being burnt at the stake in 1528, may well have galvanised the young preacher in waiting. Though ordained a priest in 1536, John Knox served as a notary apostolic at St Mary's Church here in Haddington. A few years later, he came into contact with the charismatic reformist preacher George Wishart, who, Knox claimed, pulled him from the puddle of papistry. During Wishart's final sermon, Knox famously stood under the pulpit of the church with a two-handed sword at the ready. In vain, for Wishart was arrested on the orders of Cardinal Beaton. Wishart was tried for heresy in St Andrews, where, 14 years almost to the day, on the 1st of March 1546, he suffered the same fate as Patrick Hamilton. But this time his sympathisers retaliated. Months later they murdered Cardinal Beaton. His body was hung over the walls of St Andrews Castle for the townsfolk to witness, before being salted like a side of beef and stored in the dungeon. In 1547, David Lindsay persuaded the fugitive Knox to return to St Andrews to become the castle's chaplain. This, however, didn't last long. On the instructions of Mary of Guise, the French besieged St Andrews Castle and imprisoned Knox and other fellow Protestants as galley slaves, sailing for France in August 1547. The widow of James V had also agreed to the betrothal of her daughter to the Dauphin of France under the Treaty of Haddington, signed at St Mary's Abbey on 7th of July 1548. And so, in August, the young Mary Queen of Scots was ferried to France. Was it possible that one of the slaves rowing her galley was John Knox? Truth can often be stranger than fiction. The many twists and turns, betrayals and religious fervour of those turbulent times are explored in this novel. Interweaving historical fact with logical conjecture, the first blast of the trumpet announces a surprising story about the early secret life of John Knox,